Independent Nicolette Boele is the provisional winner in the New South Wales electorate of Bradfield. To discuss this, Chief Elections Analyst Antony Green joins us now. Antony, thanks so much for your time. This one's been a really tight contest, but we've now got an update. Can you tell us what's happened?
All right, what's happened today, they have finalised and finished the counting of all first preference votes. And they've done what's called an indicative preference count. It's what we do all the way from election night. It gives us an idea of what's the result after preferences. And that indicative preference count shows that Nicolette Boele defeats Gisele Kapterian from the Liberal Party by 40 votes. But it's not an official count. It's just an indicative count. It's a count for information purposes. What they will now do is a formal distribution of preferences where they exclude the lowest polling candidate and the second lowest polling candidate, re-examine the ballot papers, distribute the preferences until only 2 candidates remain. That's the official count, the official distribution of preferences. At the end of that, if one or other of the candidates has won by under 100 votes, they can request a recount. And they'll count all the votes again and do another distribution of preferences. Now, it's expected that the distribution of preferences will take the rest of this week, at which point we'll then know who's the provisional winner at that stage. Now, after the recount, to take it even further beyond the recount, if after the recount, that's then the official result, and whoever is the winner after the recount would be declared elected. Now, that can then be taken to the Court of Disputed Returns the challenge, but it would be up to the loser to determine whether it's worth doing that, whether they can find enough errors to change the result, and if they do change the result, or if the court overturns the result, whether they could win a subsequent by-election. Now, I make as a reference to that, in 1996, Jackie Kelly won the seat of Lindsay, and she hadn't had her citizenship sorted out properly. Labor challenged it in the court. It went to a by-election, and then Labor lost the by-election with a significant swing to the government. If one of these candidates, after losing narrowly, challenged and then went to a by-election, they'd have to consider whether they could win the by-election. I think that's probably more of a problem for the Liberal Party if they lose narrowly, is they'd have to consider whether they could win a by-election. But either way, the formal distribution of preferences may find some errors. The full recount, which could take 2 to 3 weeks, could find more errors and may change the results. So, look, when you're counting 110,000 ballot papers, there's always the chance there's some minor errors, and we're about to go through one of these really long and detailed processes that does this.
And so, Antony, you've given us a very detailed explanation of what happens next. This might be a harder question to answer. How long will this all take?
Look, the distribution of preferences, which will be scrutinised very closely from this point, the Commission has suggested it will take a week to do that. So in about a week's time, they will be able to determine what's the official winning margin for either candidate. Currently, Nicolette Boele is ahead by 40 votes on the indicative count. If at the end of this process she's the winner again, or if the Liberal candidate is the winner by under 100 votes, it can be challenged for a recount. And that would be a full count of all formal votes, a recheck for formality, a check of all the informal votes, a retally, and then a full distribution of preferences again. That could take another 2 to 3 weeks afterwards.
Antony Green, we always appreciate your insight and knowledge. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.